You know that feeling, right? I know it's that blank document that's been staring at you for days, maybe even weeks. When you open it, you'll see the blinking cursor, and then something magical happens. You'll feel a wave of warmth spreading over you. And then out of the blue, you're hit with this overwhelming urge to tidy up your spice rack. Or maybe that tax return sitting on your desk looks so daunting that it seems like the perfect time to try making sourdough bread. You tell yourself you'll do the important thing later. When you're feeling motivated, we're here for you. I'm feeling more inspired than ever. When the stars finally align and everything feels just right. And wouldn't it be great if we could find a way to quiet that little nagging voice in our heads? We could do it by taking on those tasks we've been putting off. You're just feeling a little lazy today. You're so full of life. What's going on, my friend? You start to feel really guilty and ashamed of not doing anything about it. You feel stressed and overwhelmed, and the deadline is really close. You finally feel like you can't wait any longer and have to do something. It's a tough cycle, isn't it? It's totally understandable that most people who procrastinate say it makes them feel pretty unhappy. But what if I told you that that voice is completely wrong? I know we've all been there. You're sitting there thinking, I put off important tasks because I'm lazy. But what if that's not the reason at all? What if it's actually your brain's built-in survival instincts? You're not lazy, you're human. Hey, we all do it. Procrastination isn't a bad thing. It's just your brain trying to take care of itself. At its core, it's a matter of emotion regulation. For a long time, we've thought of it as being a lack of discipline or poor time management. But recent studies show something very different. In this text, we're going to take a closer look at what's going on in the mind of a procrastinator. We'll help you understand the surprising psychological triggers behind the behavior. And best of all, I'll give you a clear, science-based roadmap to stop avoiding and start doing. You'll be able to regain your focus and silence that inner critic once and for all. The secret war of your brain, Admiral and First Assistant. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, it might be helpful to understand why you're finding it hard to get started. Picture your brain as a sophisticated warship on an important journey. The destination is Success Island. Writing your thesis, building your business, getting fit, all the big, important goals you've set for yourself live on that island. The ship has a captain, and I'll call him the Admiral. The Admiral is like your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's in charge of logic and planning. He's got maps, he gets how important it is to get to the island, and he's all about the future. It's the one that sets the alarm, makes the to-do list, and buys the gym membership. But there's another key figure on the bridge, too, the first helper. The first helper is your limbic system, specifically a small almond-shaped piece called the amygdala. The first helper, it doesn't seem to prioritize long-term goals, which is totally understandable. Its job is much more primitive, but it's a crucial one, detecting threats. It's always keeping an eye out for potential dangers, and its motto is avoid pain at all costs, seek pleasure now. It's like the heart of your emotional brain. And that's where things can get tricky. I know you've got that important task on your plate. The Admiral really believes that this is an essential stop on the journey, but the first assistant sees the stormy seas surrounding it. That big report is not just a report. To him, it's a potential source of failure, judgment, or criticism. That blank canvas may feel like a daunting challenge, but it's also a space where you can gently discover and grow your artistic voice. It's totally normal to feel overwhelmed, bored, or frustrated by the task. It's hard for the first aider when they're dealing with negative emotions like anxiety, self-doubt, and boredom. It's like they're in a raging storm inside their own head. His reaction is immediate and instinctive. "Danger ahead! Change coast!" he shouts, his voice ringing with excitement. He eagerly grabs the helm and steers the ship towards the nearest, sunniest, and most pleasant-looking island he can find. Islands of distraction. This is where cat videos, social media streams, sudden urge to clean, and promises of just one more episode live. This small diversion provides instant relief. The storm of negative emotions subsides. The first helper is happy. Psychologists call this a form of short-term mood regulation. You have successfully gotten through the bad feeling, and your brain gives you a little dopamine hit as a reward. The problem is that while you are basking in the sun on the islands of distraction, the island of success is getting farther and farther away. And the Admiral, drowning in guilt and frustration in his room, knows you're completely off course. This is not laziness, it is an emotional hijacking. 4 powerful triggers that cause the first mate to take the helm. Well, we know that the first helper distracts us from bad feelings. But what are these feelings in particular? and why do certain tasks trigger them so intensely? Let's examine the 4 most common psychological triggers that empower your inner first helper to take control of the ship. Storm of fear, the shadow of failure, and the curse of perfectionism. This is the biggest one. What you fear is not the task itself, but what the task represents. It's the fear of failure, the fear of being judged, even the fear of success and the pressure that comes with it. Some research suggests that the brains of chronic procrastinators may have a larger amygdala, our first helper, which may signal an increased sensitivity to potential threat. When you sit down to work on something really important, your first assistant doesn't just see a chart, it sees a judgment about your competence. It doesn't see a difficult conversation, it sees a potential rejection. This is exacerbated by what we call perfectionism, but perfectionism is a misnomer. It is not the pursuit of perfection. It is the terror of appearing imperfect. The mentality of the perfectionist is all or nothing. If I can't do this perfectly, I'm a complete failure. When faced with this impossible standard, the emotional risk is enormous. The first helper screams that it is better not to try at all than to try. So it leads you to the islands of distraction, where you cannot fail because you are not even in the game. This is a clever form of self-sabotage. By waiting until the last minute, you create a built-in excuse for a mediocre result. It's not that I wasn't good enough, I didn't have enough time. Your ego is protected, but your goals are torpedoed. The hurricane of boredom, the swamp of task aversion and meaninglessness. Sometimes the problem is not a deep-seated fear. It's just that the task itself, frankly, sucks. Psychologists call this task aversion. The task feels boring, tiring, repetitive, or completely meaningless. Think of folding laundry, doing your expenses, or attending a mandatory training seminar that has nothing to do with your real job. Your brain is programmed to seek interaction and reward. When a task offers neither, your first aider sees zero reason to go towards it. In fact, the feeling of deep boredom or frustration is a storm in itself. Why sail into that storm when you can literally do anything else? You procrastinate. You tell yourself that you need to be in the right mood to deal with it, but the right mood for a tedious task never really comes, does it? Fog of uncertainty, the paralysis of overwhelm and uncertainty. Have you ever had a goal so big and vague that you didn't know where to start? Goals like get healthy, write a book, or renovate the house. To the admiral of your brain, this sounds like a great destination, but to the first helper, a vague and gigantic goal looks like a huge, unmapped continent shrouded in fog. No clear harbor, no defined first step. It just looks huge and threatening. This feeling of overwhelm triggers decision fatigue. The number of potential options is mentally exhausting. Where should I start? What's the most important part? What if I choose the wrong first step? This uncertainty is a kind of emotional distress. And what does the first helper do when he or she feels distressed? He takes control. It steers you away from the huge, foggy continent and towards a small, clearly defined and simple island. Check my email or watch a short video. The smaller, easier task provides a sense of certainty and control that the bigger goal completely lacks. You're not avoiding work because you're lazy. You're avoiding it because you're overwhelmed by the lack of a clear map. Vicious cycle, the spiral of guilt and anxiety. This is perhaps the most insidious part of the whole process. Procrastinating and then beating yourself up about it. What are you actually doing? You are creating a huge storm of negative emotions, guilt, shame, self-deprecation. This only proves to the first helper that it was justified to put off the task in the first place. This makes the task even more emotionally toxic for the next time. Self-criticism is the fuel for procrastination. The antidote is self-compassion. Self-compassion does not mean forgiving yourself. It means treating yourself with the same kindness you would show to a friend who has made a mistake. It is about accepting the emotion without judgment. Okay, I procrastinated, I feel bad about it, it happened because I felt overwhelmed, and it's a very human reaction. By forgiving yourself for procrastinating, you neutralize the negative emotional charge associated with the task. You break the procrastination anxiety spiral. You say to the first aider, "It's okay, we got caught in a little storm, but we're safe. Now we can get back on course." Forgiveness is not a weakness, it is a strategy. Empowering the admiral. The tactics I give you to stop procrastination. So here you are. You have an overprotective first mate, afraid of emotional storms, and an admiral who feels increasingly helpless. You may feel like you are doomed to go in circles forever, always docking at the islands of distraction while your real goals remain a distant dream. But you are not doomed. The solution is not to start a riot and throw the first helper overboard. You cannot get rid of your feelings. She is a permanent part of your team, and her instincts in the right context are vital to your survival. The solution is for the admiral to become a better leader. It's about learning to work with the first mate, acknowledging his fears, and then skillfully steering the ship through the storm, rather than constantly trying to avoid it. It's not about willpower, it's about strategy. So how do we do this? How do we give the admiral the tools he needs to calm the first mate, take back the helm, and finally chart a direct course to the island of success? Here is your 5-step roadmap to retrain your brain and break the cycle once and for all. Shrink the task 2-minute rule. The first helper's biggest fear is the size of the storm. A big, scary task creates a big, scary emotional response. Solution: make the task so small, so ridiculously non-threatening that there is no storm to fear. That's the magic behind the 2-minute rule. The idea is to break down any task into a version that can be done in less than 2 minutes. Write a book becomes open a new document and write a sentence. Run 5K, put on your running shoes and go outside. Do my taxes becomes take the receipt folder out of the drawer and put it on my desk. Why does this work so brilliantly? Because it reduces the barrier to entry to almost zero. The first assistant looks at open a new document and sees no threat. It's a small rain cloud, not a hurricane. There's no emotional drama, so he doesn't feel the need to miss the boat. But the real magic is that getting started is always the hardest part. Once you have opened the document, it is much easier to write a second sentence. Once you're outside in your running shoes, walking to the end of the block feels possible. You are building momentum. Newton's first law applies to productivity. A body at rest continues to stand, a body in motion continues to move. The 2-minute rule is that little push to get you moving. Give the mission meaning, Admiral's compass. If your map has a destination called simply boring report, the first assistant will never want to go there. You need to connect that mission to a destination that he or she really cares about. This means reframing the task in relation to your deeper values. Instead of saying to yourself, I need to finish this presentation, try changing the language to, I have an opportunity to share my expertise with my team. Or by finishing this presentation, I'm one step closer to a promotion that will provide my family with more security. Suddenly, the task is no longer an isolated, meaningless chore. It is a crucial intermediate point on the journey to a place where you really want to be, a place of competence, contribution, or security. Finding personal meaning in a task is a powerful way to reduce its negative emotional burden. This also means setting extremely clear goals. Being healthy is a foggy continent. Walk 20 minutes every day after lunch is a clear, specific harbor on a map. The admiral can plot a course and the first mate feels less anxious because he knows exactly where the ship is going. Design the environment, cleaning the ship's cockpit. Your environment sends constant signals to your brain. If your desk, your ship's cockpit, is full of distractions, there will be thousands of easy escape routes that the first mate can point to. Even if you're good at putting your phone away, if the habit is strong, you'll find another way to distract yourself on your laptop. It's not just a device, it's the easy access habit. So you need to design the environment, make the right thing easy and the wrong thing hard. If you want to stop scrolling, don't just put your phone in your pocket, leave it in another room. If you want to eat healthier, don't rely on willpower alone, put the fruit bowl on the counter and hide the cookies in the back of the pantry. Use apps that block distracting websites for set periods of time. It's not about weakness, it's about accepting how your brain actually works. You're reducing the number of temptations the first mate can see, which means the admiral has to fight less battles to keep the ship on course. You are creating an environment where the focus is on the path of least resistance. Show self-compassion, the art of calming the first mate. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive and most important of all strategies. When you procrastinate and then beat yourself up about it, what are you actually doing? You are creating a huge storm of negative emotions, guilt, shame, self-deprecation. This only proves to the first helper that it was justified to postpone the task in the first place. This makes the task even more emotionally toxic for the next time. Self-criticism is the fuel for procrastination. The antidote is self-compassion. Self-compassion does not mean forgiving yourself. It means treating yourself with the same kindness you would show to a friend who has made a mistake. It is about accepting the emotion without judgment. Okay, I procrastinated, I feel bad about it, it happened because I felt overwhelmed, and it's a very human reaction. By forgiving yourself for procrastinating, you neutralize the negative emotional charge associated with the task. You break the procrastination anxiety spiral. You say to the first aider, "It's okay, we got caught in a little storm, but we're safe. Now we can get back on course." Forgiveness is not a weakness, it is a strategy. Negotiate with a break, Pomodoro technique, building trust. Let's be realistic. Your first assistant will never stop visiting the islands of distraction. So instead of constantly fighting with him, why not negotiate? The Pomodoro technique is a brilliant negotiation tool. The deal you make with your brain is this: we will work with complete, undivided focus for only 25 minutes. No distractions. But after those 25 minutes are over, I promise you, we'll take a 5-minute break where you can do whatever you want. We can visit any distraction island you want. This works for two main reasons. First, a 25-minute working time feels manageable. The first helper can handle almost any storm as long as they know it will only take 25 minutes. Second, it validates the need for breaks and rewards. It builds trust between the admiral and the first assistant. He learns that focused work is not an endless, scary journey, but a series of short, manageable sprints with guaranteed shore leave. It respects both the brain's need for focus and the deep-seated need for rest and reward. Set sail as a new admiral. The journey away from procrastination is not about fighting a lazy, unmotivated version of yourself. It is a journey of understanding and self-awareness. It's about realizing that the urge to procrastinate is a deeply human, protective instinct that just works a little bit wrong. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You have a very effective first aider who is just trying to distract you from what he perceives as pain. But now you are a better admiral. You have a whole new set of navigation tools. You can minimize the storm by breaking down missions. You can redraw the map by finding your purpose. You can design your cockpit for focus. You can calm the crew with self-compassion, and you can schedule regular breaks to keep morale high. By understanding the why, you've figured out the how. You have the power to acknowledge fear, take the helm with confidence, and steer your life in the direction you want. The island of success is waiting for you. If this text has helped you understand your own mind a little better, do me a favor and hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of a better life. Now, I have a challenge for you. In the comments below, tell me one single task you've been putting off and what its 2-minute version would be. Let's create accountability right here, right now.